In 2009, a coal miner in northern Colombia pulled a rock out of the ground and handed it to a geologist named Jonathan Bloch. It looked like a misshapen cobblestone. It was a vertebra from a snake, and it was the size of a grapefruit. That one object changed every assumption we had about how big a snake could physically get. The snake was Titanoboa terrigenensis, 42 feet long, weighing over a ton. 42 feet, that's longer than a school bus. Let that sit. And for 15 years, Titanoboa sat comfortably at the top, the undisputed record holder, the biggest snake that ever lived. Then, in 2024, a team of Indian paleontologists published a paper, and the record changed. Here's everything that's wrong with what you think you know about the biggest snake in history. Before we get to the challenger, let's be fair to Titanoboa, because what Titanoboa actually was is genuinely extraordinary. It lived 58 to 60 million years ago. The dinosaurs had been gone for 6 million years by then. The world was hot, hotter than anything alive today experiences. Average temperatures in the tropics were hitting 30 to 34 degrees Celsius. Cold-blooded animals get bigger when the world gets hotter. There's a direct metabolic relationship. Titanoboa wasn't a freak accident. It was the logical output of a superheated planet with no apex predators left. We know this because of what's preserved in the fossils. The Cerrejón Formation in Colombia gave us 28 individual specimens. 28. That's not one lucky find. That's a population. A breeding, thriving, dominant population. The vertebrae themselves told researchers the animal's size. Each one has a specific height-to-width ratio that scales predictably. Run the numbers on the largest Cerrejón vertebra and you get 13 meters, 42.7 feet, about 1,135 kilograms. For context, the largest snake alive today is the reticulated python. It maxes out at around 6.5 meters. Titanoboa was literally twice that. Its body at its widest point was roughly the diameter of a car tire. It ate giant lungfish and the ancestors of modern crocodiles, whole. The jaw structure confirms it. The jaw bones, quadrate bones, and pterygoid bones show a kinetic skull that could expand to swallow prey wider than itself. Okay, so Titanoboa was genuinely monstrous. We've established that. Now, meet Vasuki indicus, named after the mythological serpent king of Hindu legend, which honestly feels appropriate when you see the numbers. Vasuki indicus was discovered in the Panandro lignite mine in Gujarat, India. The fossils were actually collected in the 1980s and 1990s, but they sat in storage, insufficiently studied for decades, sitting in a box for 40 years, while everyone assumed Titanoboa was the answer. In 2024, paleontologist Sunil Bajpai and his team at IIT Roorkee finally gave the specimens the full analysis they deserved. They had 27 vertebrae, not a complete skeleton, but enough, because vertebrae don't lie. Each one carries a predictable mathematical relationship to body length. The vertebrae from Vasuki are enormous. Some of the individual vertebrae are wider than those of the largest known Titanoboa specimens. Run Bajpai's calculations and you get an estimated length of 11 to 15 meters. The midpoint, about 13.5 meters. That upper estimate of 15 meters, 49 feet, would make Vasuki indicus the largest snake that has ever been confirmed in the fossil record. 15 meters. To give you a reference, that's roughly the length of a semi-truck and trailer combined. Alive and moving, not a fossil, not a museum reconstruction, a living animal. Now, there's an important caveat here, and real science always has one. The 15-meter estimate is the top of a range. The bottom of that same range, 11 meters, would make it about the same size as Titanoboa, possibly smaller. The debate is real. Some paleontologists are convinced, others want more complete material. This is what real science looks like. Not a press release, a conversation. But here's what everyone agrees on. The Vasuki vertebrae are genuinely massive, proportionally massive in a way that demands explanation. So, what kind of animal was Vasuki? Because it wasn't the same type of snake as Titanoboa at all. Both belong to a now extinct group called the Madtsoiidae, ancient primitive snakes with a different vertebral architecture from any snake alive today. Madtsoiids were the dominant large snakes for tens of millions of years. They were so successful they appeared on multiple continents. And then they vanished, the entire lineage gone. Their closest relatives, after millions of years of success, simply disappeared. Vasuki lived approximately 47 million years ago, the Eocene epoch, a world almost as hot as the Paleocene, but beginning its long slide toward cooler temperatures. The Panandro region of India in the Eocene was a coastal swamp. Think of something between a Louisiana bayou and a Borneo rainforest, but stranger. India at this point was only recently finished slamming into Asia. The collision had been going on for millions of years. The Himalayas were just starting to rise. So, Vasuki was living through one of the most geologically violent periods in its region's history, and it was thriving. What did it eat? We don't have gut contents, but we have context, and context is almost as good. The Panandro Formation also contains fossils of primitive whales, early proboscideans, the ancestors of elephants, and large crocodilians. A 15-meter constrictor in that environment wasn't just eating fish, it was the apex predator of an entire ancient coastal ecosystem. Constriction at that scale produces forces we can barely calculate. Modern anacondas exert about 90 newtons of pressure per centimeter of body. Scale that up. We're talking about constriction forces that could collapse a car door on a living animal. That's what apex predation looked like. But size alone doesn't make Vasuki interesting. What makes it interesting is what its existence tells us about the rules. We assumed, for a long time, that Titanoboa represented some kind of physical maximum, an upper biological ceiling for snake size. Vasuki says, no, there is no ceiling. There's only the temperature and the prey. If the world gets hot enough and there are enough large animals to eat, snakes will simply get bigger, which is a fact that deserves sitting with, given what's happening to global temperatures right now. I'm not saying we're going to have Vasuki-scale snakes roaming around in 200 years. I'm saying the conditions that produced them aren't as alien as we'd like them to be. Now, there's actually a third contender in this conversation that almost nobody mentions. Gigantophis garstini, a madsoid from what is now Egypt and Algeria, living around 37 to 40 million years ago. Estimated at somewhere between 9 and 10.7 meters. Smaller than Titanoboa, but genuinely enormous by any living standard. For about a century, Gigantophis held the record for largest known snake. Then Titanoboa was discovered and pushed it into third place. Now Gigantophis is in third, or possibly fourth, depending on what comes out of the rock next. Because here's the uncomfortable truth about the fossil record. It is extraordinarily incomplete. Soft tissue doesn't preserve. Most animals die in places where fossilization never happens. Most fossils that form get crushed, eroded, or buried forever. The snakes we have found are the snakes that happen to die in the right place, in the right sediment, and then happen to survive tens of millions of years intact enough to be found by a human being who happened to be looking. We know this because of the gaps. The Eocene is particularly poorly sampled in South Asia. We've barely scratched the surface of what lived there. Vasuki was found because a lignite mine happened to cut through exactly the right stratum. If that mine had been dug 50 meters to the left, we might never have known it existed. And Vasuki sat in a box for 40 years before someone looked at it properly. There are currently hundreds of thousands of fossil specimens sitting in museum collections worldwide, uncatalogued, unstudied, waiting. Vasuki Indicus is a reminder that our understanding of prehistoric life is not a finished map. It's a very rough sketch with most of the continents missing. So what actually determined the upper limit of snake size? Why aren't there snakes even larger than Vasuki? 3 constraints: temperature, prey availability, locomotion. Temperature first. Cold-blooded animals need external heat to digest. A snake too large to raise its body temperature in available sunlight would simply starve between meals. In an Eocene world running 4 to 6 degrees hotter than today, that threshold was simply higher. More metabolic budget available, more growth possible. Prey availability. Second, a 15-meter snake needs an enormous caloric intake to sustain itself between the long fasts that all large constrictors take. Locomotion third. At a certain size, a snake's own body weight starts to work against it. Moving a 15-meter body through vegetation requires enormous muscle mass. Vasuki likely moved slowly. Very slowly. probably spent significant time semi-submerged in water, which removed its own weight from the equation. Think less of a snake actively hunting and more of a snake waiting, setting an ambush that the prey walks into simply by trying to drink. One moment of stillness, then something catastrophic. That's not a metaphor, that's a strategy. Modern anacondas use exactly this ambush from water technique. Vasuki almost certainly did too. We know this because behavior leaves traces in anatomy. The body plan of semi-aquatic ambush predators is consistent across evolutionary lineages. Vasuki indicus probably had eyes and nostrils positioned toward the top of the head, an ambush predator design, diagnostic. Now, let's talk about what Vasuki's existence does to our understanding of snake evolution as a whole. Snakes evolved from lizards, probably burrowing lizards. The limbs were lost, the body elongated, and then, over millions of years, some lineages just kept going. The Matsoid lineage that produced Vasuki and Titanoboa was doing this independently from the lineages that produced modern pythons and anacondas, two completely separate snake families, both independently evolved to colossal size in hot climates with abundant large prey. Evolution is not creative, it's conservative. When something works, it gets repeated. Gigantic ambush constrictors in hot swamps. That's a design that works. The interesting question isn't why Vasuki got so big. The interesting question is why it stopped there. Why not 20 meters? Why not 25? There's no clear anatomical reason a snake couldn't reach those sizes given the right conditions. Maybe the Eocene didn't stay hot long enough. It began cooling around 34 million years ago. The window closed. As temperatures dropped, the metabolic advantage of being enormous became a metabolic liability. The giants shrank. Then the Matsoids vanished entirely. The world that made Vasuki possible ceased to exist, and Vasuki went with it. Here's what I keep coming back to. Vasuki indicus existed. Those bones are real. That animal breathed and moved and ate and hunted in a world that covered what is now India. And someone found it in a box 40 years after someone else dug it out of the ground and decided it was worth taking seriously. The fossil record isn't a closed book. It's more like a book that keeps having new pages discovered in other books, and some of those pages are going to rewrite everything again. Snakes have been on this planet for roughly 100 million years. They've survived the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. They've survived every ice age. The snake we think of as the biggest snake ever, Titanoboa, may not even be second place anymore. That's not a reason to be worried. That's a reason to keep digging. If this changed how you think about what's in the rock or what's in a storage box somewhere, subscribe. There's more where Vasuki came from. A lot more.